Hello, thanks for joining me. Today we'll be reviewing tips for replacing the Positive Crankcase Ventilation Valve on this 2014 Toyota Corolla S with a 1.8 liter engine. If you haven't done so already, please check out my video, Secrets to Planning and Auto Repair. Now let's get started. Well, you might be asking, what are the most obvious symptoms of a bad positive crankcase ventilation valve? The performance of your vehicle will gradually decrease over time. This will be exhibited by a buildup of pressure in the exhaust, or the engine could stall out. A bad valve may also not properly close all the way and allow gas to flow into the piston chamber, causing excessive oil consumption or white smoke to be emitted from the tailpipe. A stuck or closed valve may cause leaks around oil seals or gaskets, producing multiple pools of oil beneath the vehicle. Okay, so let's quickly go over our supply list. Of course, we're going to have a positive crankcase ventilation valve. We're going to get our intake gasket, 3/8 inch ratchet, 1/2 inch ratchet, a 12 millimeter socket with a 6-inch extension, a 22 millimeter socket with a 6-inch extension. We're going to need a flat tip screwdriver and a old hanger. And the rest of the items can be found in the description below. Okay, here's your first pro tip. The electronic engine control module can compensate for a malfunctioning valve for an extended period of time before a check engine light is triggered. Okay, let's move through a quick disassembly process. First thing you're going to do is use your 12 millimeter socket to remove 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next, you're going to remove 2 nuts. 1 and 2. That's going to loosen this up. After that, you're going to unclip the wiring harness. There's a pressure clip right here. And then this other wiring harness is that's where that small flat tip screwdriver is going to come in. You're going to have to come in from both sides very gently, wiggle, and pull that harness out. At this point, you want to take several pictures. One picture from that location, and then several pictures from this location to make sure you're recording where the hoses are located. So you're going to start removing the hoses. There's a hose right here, hose right here, hose right here. There's a hose right there, okay? And then also there's an electronic clip located on the throttle body right here. You're going to lift the harness out very gently. Comes out pretty easy. Just pull it back towards you. You notice I removed that too. This is where the hanger comes in. You're going to use your hanger to hold back the air intake. So now that we have a different view, you can see the PCV hose and the PCV. Okay. And remove the hose. Just tug on it, it'll come straight out. I didn't remove the clip. Use your 22 millimeter socket and ratchet, and you're going to get in here just like this. Remove the valve. Now, here's a pro tip. I don't have a 6-inch, 1/2-inch extension, but I need to purchase one. I highly advise that you purchase one. It's in the description list. If I had a extension, I would be able to come out here, and the removal of the valve would have been a lot easier. I've already loosened it up for demonstration purposes. I'm going to go in here real quick and just take it out. So one of the tricks I learned is you can use a 3/8 inch ID rubber hose. You get it in, just push it in on the valve once the valve is nice and loose. And you can turn the valve and take it out. We will not be cleaning this valve today. We're simply going to replace this valve. Pro tip hose, tighten it up. Okay, after some time, I got the valve installed. I just want to let you know I had to pull back on this several times, and it just took a bunch of, like 35 small turns to get that valve in place, so be patient. Before we install the valve hose, we're going to check the condition of our air intake gasket. So we're going to feel in there, there's little orange tabs, and I would just pull off one corner, maybe one loop, take a look at it. If it's still pliable, I'd say you can reuse it, okay? But if it's in any way brittle, I would say take it out and install a brand new one. Next, what you're going to do is clean off this surface, the mating surface for this rubber gasket. And I want to say that the surfaces on this particular valve were in pretty poor shape. Quite a bit of dirt was being sucked in here, so I might go ahead and replace this gasket. There's probably an issue with the gasket, even though it wasn't triggering a check engine light. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I would clean these surfaces. I've got a little carb cleaner. I'm going to spray it on the towel. I'm just going to come in here and clean these surfaces off. Okay. Might be a little hard to get to. What you don't want to do is knock any dirt down inside these intakes. And if you do, just get you a small diameter hose attachment, vacuum hose attachment, and just go in there and vacuum it out. Thought I'd give you guys another little pro tip. This area that I'm working in is very small, so you say, how do you get in here, right? So I've got my little tool. I'm gonna pull back on the cover, and this tool wrapped around. I got the towel wrapped around the end of my tool, and it's letting me get into these really small areas. So I can get that mating surface really quick. You guys can see the before and after condition of that mating surface. That's how clean that surface should be. After checking the condition of the air intake gasket, you can see I've replaced it. Here are the blue tabs right here. The mating surface is nice and clean, and now let's go ahead and move forward with the reinstallation of all the parts. I just want to mention that in my gasket kit, I also have this gasket right here, which will need to be replaced, and you can see that orange tip right there, but I won't include that in the video. So what we're going to do is take this rubber hose right here, which it routes that way and underneath the throttle body, so I'm just going to slide it on. There you go. Didn't even remove the clip. And then I'm just going to push it down into an area down below the throttle body for now. That's all I need right now. Then I can go ahead and remove my hanger. Move that out of the way. Carefully pick up the whole unit here. I'm going to call this a unit. And just slide this right onto the bolts. You kind of do this all at once. And I slid it right onto that bolt these two bolts right there. So you're going to reattach this hose right here. Route that under. That's going to slide on right there. Here's a hose that, be careful with your hoses. But that's going to slide under right there. And onto this right there. Electrical connector, don't forget your electrical connector. So I notice I'm having a little issue getting the throttle body electrical connector connected. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the negative battery terminal so I can get in there and use my flat tip screwdriver to kind of remold and reposition the waterproof gasket. Okay, so here's a close-up of the electrical connector for the throttle body. And what I discovered was that when I removed this connector right here, the gasket came out of this part and stayed inside of that part, which is not how it should be. So that's what made it really difficult for me to insert this. So what I'm gonna do is just go in here with a small tip screwdriver. And remember, I've disconnected my negative battery terminal. So I'm gonna go in here with a small tip screwdriver, extract that out of there, and place it into this connector correctly, and then make the connection. I've reinstalled the gasket properly, and I'm gonna make the connection. Okay, real quickly, go ahead and make your connections here, 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 and tighten that back up. We already went over the electrical connector. I've also reinstalled loosely the 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4 down below. And then the nuts. 1 and 2 nuts. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those right now. So here's a pro tip for you. As you begin tightening your bolts, don't over tighten these top bolts, and you get this bottom bolt started first and get that in pretty snug before you go ahead and tighten these other bolts, okay? In that order. My bolts are in. I've made my connections right here, right here. I've just reattached my negative battery terminal, and let's see what happens. Sounds great. That wraps up my review of the tips for replacing a positive crankcase ventilation valve on this Toyota Corolla with a 1.8 liter engine. I hope you found my tips to be helpful. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, drive defensively.